Steve Paul Jobs was born in San Francisco on February 24, 1955, to unmarried parents who were then students at the university. His parents, Abdul Fattah Jandali, a Syrian from Homs, and Joan Schipel were introduced to the adoption after the Schipel family refused her marriage to a non-Catholic, 23, a California couple, Paul and Clara Jobs. 24 are members of a Polish-Armenian family, 25, led by Paul and Clara Jobs, which left an impact on Steve's life, which mentions Abdel Fattah only with the use of a biological parent. 25. Little has been written about Abdul Fattah Jandali in the American media, because he has always lived in the dark and almost never saw anyone as the real father of a man who always filled the world of computers and electronics and the addict's junkie. His son Steve Jobs himself helped hide his true father and hide his sister Mona, who is classified as American and abroad as one of the most famous narrators. In turn, she also contributed to hiding the identity of her father and her brother. Her name in the United States is Mona Simpson, so she did not meet her father, and her brother met him for the first time at the age of 27, always mentioned over the phone. 27. The story of Jandali's abandonment of his son dates back to 1955, when a Syrian student born in Homs traveled to the United States to obtain a doctorate in political science from the United States, where he met Joan Schipel, 28, in America. Studied their son out of wedlock. Abdul Fattah Jandali descended from Schipel Jandali in Homs, where he was born in 1931 and left at the age of 18 to Beirut in 1949 to study political science at the American University, where his father was wealthy and owner of Amlak. He was active in the Arab nationalist movement 25-27 and the National Intellectual Literacy Association was headed by a trend that included well-known names such as George Habish, Constantine Zarik and Shafiq al-Hout. 27-29, but he was not the only politician in the family. His cousin Farin was deputy and minister of education in the government of Nazim al-Qudsi. Abdel Fattah left Beirut for the United States in 1950 to study political science at a university in Nevada, where he established a relationship with Joan Simpson, which was paid by Steve. 25. A week after the baby's birth, Jandali was introduced to adoption, and was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs of California and named Stephen Paul. 30. Abdul Fattah said how his father's father refused to marry his daughter to a Syrian man, forcing them to give up Steve to the Goebbels. Joan went so far without teaching me or anyone to San Francisco to give birth so she would not bring came to her family. After months of being adopted by his new family, Jandali and Schipel married 10 months after giving up the baby. As Steve grew up in the new family, Jandali and Schipel begged their daughter, Mona, whom she had brought up, unlike her brother. 30. He is his son. 24. Jandali, a Syrian-born 80-year-old American citizen who is vice president of the hotel's casino and a former professor at the University of Nevada. 30. Once told the Sun that his Arab-Syrian pride prevented him from calling himself. He added, "I was not ready, even if one of us was on deathbed. Because the phone picked up for no, you have to contact him. Steve himself has to do it because my Syrian pride does not want him to ever think that I am a greedy investor. I do not want her, and I have my own money. What I do not have is my son, and this saddens me." 29. Although he had previously expressed his remorse for giving up his son and offering him adoption, in August 2011 he told the Sun newspaper that he wanted to meet Steve but said he lived in the hope that his son would call him before it was too late. He added that eating a cup of coffee even once with him will make me very happy. 30. But he did not meet his son until his death. 29. Mona Simpson. Mona Simpson also learned of the existence of a brother until she reached adulthood. 24. A famous novelist he met many years later because of her adoption by another family. Jobs has known his sister, Mona Simpson, of his biological parents Abdul Fattah Jandali and Joan Schipel for 29 years, and a very strong relationship developed between them. However, this relationship did not pave the way for the meeting between the son and his father. 30. In contrast, there was a relationship between Mona Simpson, his sister from his biological parents, and Steve, who met him for the first time when she invited him to a concert to promote her novel Only Place This Place, and in which she revealed that she is the sister of Jobs, and was then 27 years old. In about "We're a Family," one of my best friends in the world, Jobs said. Steve also knew from his sister other details about their parents, and called his mother who gave birth to some of the events but never tried to contact his father Abdul Fattah Jandali. 30. Steve Jobs did not live in the cochlea to find his biological parents. Even after discovering the truth and knowing that he was the adoptive son of the family of Jobs, and he always said that his real parents were all Jobs. 30. Throughout these years, Steve Jobs did not try to meet his father even after the latter asked publicly. 30. Although Abdel Fattah once sent a letter to his son on his birthday but received no response. 25. Creation. The family home that Jobs adopted shows the garage where Apple found it. Jobs grew up in the home of her family, which later became known as Silicon Valley, the center of U.S. technology industries. Jobs joined the school and was studying in the winter and went to work on the summer vacation. And passion for electronics since his youth, was fond of technology and the way machines work. His first innovations at the secondary level were in Electronic 1. 24. Despite his poor interest in school education, Steve attached information to a computer and conducted a training course at HP, which was located near his home in Palo Alto. 24. On Wozniak. And a strong friendship developed between them. 31. Which together took important steps in the world of technology. Jobs graduated from high school and enrolled at Reed University in Portland, Oregon, but did not succeed at the university. He retired in his first year and decided to leave school after one semester, 24, due to financial hardship to his working-class family. 32, studies in poetry and calligraphy, but his head and heart were elsewhere in California, specifically where Silicon Valley would be located. 31, Jobs did not stand still after leaving to study, but sought to develop his skills in technology and electronics. He presented a paper in his ideas in electronics for Atari first in the video game industry and managed to get a job as a game designer. 28, and was intended to save money to travel to India. 24, then Jobs left his work for a time in which he traveled to India and soon returned to continue his work at Atari. 28, after leaving Portland to stay on the West Coast, Steve Jobs found a job at the Atari video game factory, reconnected to Posnick and conducted a number of experiments. Jobs invented a phone that allows free long-distance calls, and then Jobs and Wozniak went to their big dream, and in the car garage began working on their first computer after the first sold his car and the second scientific calculation machine to be able to establish their company, which was born in 1976 and named Apple as the favorite fruit of Steve Jobs. 31. India. Jobs traveled to India early in his youth and then returned from his journey with a shaved head wearing an Indian jalaba, where he converted to Buddhism and remained a vegetarian throughout his life. 24. 30. Jobs returned to the United States to work in the garage of his home on the establishment of Apple in collaboration with his friend Steve Wozniak and monopoly of the computer industry, IBM, when they created a laptop. And thanks to that small company later became an empire of assets according to the stock exchange New York, $346 billion. 30. In 2011, Apple became, for the shortest time, the world's largest company with an estimated value of $350 billion and has since competed with ExxonMobil, 18.